What were the steps that you took when you analyzed your marriage? What did you have to correct?
Well, the first thing I did was I recognized, there's more to this than what I thought. I had thought we had been having some philosophical differences. But what I realized that when she came to me and said that my feelings for your dad, that there was a lot more here than what I understood. And so the first thing I recognized, I'm probably not seeing very well. So I gave her a blank check. And I said, Brenda, you and I are at a crossroads. I don't understand what you think. You don't understand where I'm coming from. Let's go to the pastor. In fact, let's pick Ron, because Pastor Ron is one that he knows us a little, but he doesn't know us that well. And I just said to her, look, whatever he says, I will do. And she was shocked to get a blank check like that, but she was very overjoyed because she knew what he was going to say to me. And he was going to tell me the truth, even though she didn't know him that well. She knew that any pastor would have to tell me the truth. And so she was very happy to go. And the thing that really started to change our marriage was when I went in there, he made some statements to me about something called mutual submission, where there is a role for men to play where I need to make room for her and who she is in the marriage, not just my thoughts and my ways. And I had never considered that thought before. So as that began to percolate in my mind, then something else happened when we got home. And that is that I got right on the phone, because Ron had told us that what I needed to do was get on the phone and call my two sisters and my mom, and tell each one of them, look, I'm getting down on Brenda's side of the fence. I'm not going to sit in the fence in the middle anymore. She's mine. This is it. And I remember I'd said I would do anything. And so I went home. I didn't do anything. Took my shoes off probably, and then picked up the phone. I called all three of them, and I told them exactly that. And she said that as I made those phone calls, that began to change everything about who she thought I was, because she could see that I did love her more than I loved anything else, and that I was willing to make that stand for her, and that I would make a promise like that and actually keep it for her. So from that moment on, our whole marriage shifted, and we began to climb into a very positive place.
But you also said that your feelings were dead too, and yet you still did it. You took a new look at the word cherished. You realized you weren't cherishing her. How did you get the motivation to say, even though I don't feel this, I'm going to do this? And then when did the feelings come back?
Well, the feelings, the motivation came from Scripture, and also, from my dreams that I believe God placed in my heart for marriage. And the one thing is I wanted to have a marriage that was successful and would last on. So, that gave me motivation to look at new things. But in terms of the cherishing, I saw a passage of Scripture back in 2 Samuel where there was a warrior called Uriah, and his wife was Bathsheba. Now, while Uriah was off at battle fighting the King David's battles, she was taking a bath on the roof. David saw her. They had a sexual affair. And then what David was trying to do is to get him to come home, have some way to, basically get him with his wife so it would look like the baby was his. And then he could send him back to battle, and when the baby came, no one would know that it's David's. Well, the thing that was amazing about Uriah was when he came home, he got drunk. David got him drunk so that he would go do that. But his commitment to the king was so strong that even when he was drunk, he was still doing the right thing by his king and by his wife. So in the end, David couldn't pull this thing off, and he ended up having to kill Uriah. But the thing that was amazing then is in the follow-up is that when the prophet came then to talk to David about this, he talked about the fact that Uriah's only great possession was his ewe lamb that David had stolen. And it was that phrase, that Bathsheba was his precious ewe lamb, that changed my life, because I began to understand that, look, I am not looking at Brenda like this. She doesn't fall asleep in my arms while I'm thinking, oh, what a wonderful person. I was starting to look at her as a witch, as a nag, as someone that wouldn't give in to help make things work with my family. And I saw that there was a complete difference between the way Uriah saw Bathsheba and the way I saw Brenda. And I knew, again, that I needed to begin to say, look, she is who she is. I need to love her for who she is today, not for who I wish she was or who she will be tomorrow. And it was in that attitude where I was then able to love her through some of the things that, really, even to this day, I would say she wasn't living up to what I would have expected, but I loved her through that and loved her anyway. And in that process, her feelings for me began to grow again because she saw that I was willing to sacrifice and rebuild and to love her in spite of those things. And that made it easy for her to love me in spite of the things that I had been. We were able to forgive and move forward.